Good morning, students. Today our topic is software, and in this lecture we are going to discuss about different types of softwares. So let's start. First of all, software is nothing but only the collection of programs. In simple words, we can say that it is just collection of programs. And what is a program? Program is nothing but only the collection of instructions. So we can say that collection of instruction is called the program, and collection of programs is called the software. In broad aspect, we can say that software represents the set of programs that govern the operation of a computer system and makes the hardware run. And software can be classified into two basic categories. These are system software and application software. So this is the definition, and the main point is software represents the set of programs that governs the operation of a computer system and makes the hardware run. And two categories are there: system software and application software. System software basically refers to the program that control internal computer operations and make best use of the hardware and make best use of the hardware. And the system software can be further be classified into following categories. These are the categories of you can easily see that these are the categories of system software. First one is operating system, second is language processor, third is utilities or utility software, and fourth is device driver. So we can say that system softwares basically are the softwares, means the collections of program, but they are designed for computer systems, or we can see that for best use of the hardware of a computer system. And again these are divided four parts: operating system, language processor, utilities or utility software, and device driver. So these are the different types of a system software. That's why these are called the system software. Here system means computers. We know that computer is a system. So these are the software designed for computer for their proper run, for the best use of the hardware. So that's why they are called the system software. And we know that operating system is one of the main or important system software. So let us talk all these types of system software one by one. First of all, operating system. What is an operating system? So operating system, we can say that is a program or set of programs which act as an interface between a user and the hardware. So operating system nothing but only the interface between the user and the hardware. Actually, user uh, is unable to deal with hardware directly, so there is a system or there is a system software which play as an interface between the user and the hardware, and that system software is called the operating system. And we know many operating system. Some of them are uh, window operating system, mac operating system, linux, android. So these are the operating system most commonly or most popular operating systems. CentOS, Ubuntu are uh, some of them. So not only computer system but also different mobiles are most mobiles or smartphones have operating system also. So operating system basically work as an interface between the user and the hardware. Through operating system, user can able to give the command to computer system or to the hardware or deal with the hardware. If he or she want to store the data in the computer system, only if there is a uh, if any person want to store the data in the computer system, and if there is a operating system, then it is possible to deal with the hardware. Without the operating system, a person cannot deal with the hardware part of the computer system, because operating system work as an interface between the user and the hardware. That is the main definition of operating system, and that is the main task of the operating system. So in simple words, we can say that operating system is nothing but only the interface between the user and the hardware. And of course it is a type of system software, or it is a collection of programs. So basically definition can be divided into two parts. First of all, operating system is a program or a set of programs, means a software that act as an interface between a user and the hardware. Next, you can see the pictorial representation of the operating system. As we know that operating system is nothing but only the interface between the user and the hardware. So you can easily see that that is our operating system, that is the user, and that is hardware system. So we can say that operating system work as an interface between the user and the hardware, or we can also say that operating system nothing but only the interface between the application software and the hardware system. Actually, user gives commands to computer system through application software. The users use application software, and finally application software deals with the operating system, and then operating system deals with hardware. So we can say that in simple words, um, operating system is an interface between the user and the hardware. So operating system is a set of programs which act as an interface between the user and the hardware. So now you can also see that arrow in both the directions. So you can give and take the data from operating system as far as user is concerned. The user give and take data from operating system, then operating system deals with the then application software deals with operating system. Actually, without application softwares, now here the word application softwares are also there. Application software are those software which are designed to perform a particular task as per the user requirement. So these are called the application softwares, and the system software are basically designed to perform different tasks related to a computer systems. So here operating system is an example of system software, and applications or example of operating systems are MS Office is one of the most popular application software. So if you want to type a letter or want to work any any Excel sheet, so you deal with that application software, means MS Office here, and then MS Office is capable to store the data in a computer system because of this operating system. So operating system basically act as an interface between the user and the hardware. So that is a basic definition of operating system. So the main conclusion of this is operating system is a system software or a set of programs which act as an interface between the user and the hardware. And the user uh, gives commands to operating system, and operating system then work according to them and deals with hardware. So operating system is nothing but only the interface between the user and the hardware. Now, task of the operating system or the functions of the operating system. So the main function of the operating systems are memory management, resource management, security management, command interpreter, file management, input output management. All works related to input output devices such as keyboard, mouse, joystick, scanner, printer. So these are managed by operating systems. Different types of resources are there in our computer system. So the resource management is also done by the operating systems. Different or hardware or software parts are work as a resource, and operating system decide which resource is used for which purpose and what time of period. So this type of management is also done by the operating system. Third, you can easily see that memory management. Operating system also manage memory in our computer system, and file management. All the work is stored in the forms of files. So different files are stored in our computer system. Operating system basically do this task. Next is security management. Operating system also provides security to our computer system. You can enter your password and username or password, and you can also able to lock your computer system. So operating system provides security management, and then command interpreter. Operating systems basically work as a command interpreter, also means convert low level language into high level language, low level language into uh, human understandable language and human understandable language to low level language 0 1. So these are the different tasks of an operating system, or these are the different functions of an operating system. So there are 6 basic functions of an operating system. These are memory management, resource management, security management, command interpreter, file management, and input output management. Next topic next is language processor. So what is language processor? Language processor is a special type of system software that has the capability to translate the source code program into machine code. So the following are the different types of language processor: compiler, assembler, and interpreter. So 3 important things are there. First of all, language processor is a special type of system software, and second thing is operating language processor translate the source code, means the code written by the a programmer, and operating language processor convert this source code into machine code, means in the forms of 0 and 1. That's why they are called the language processor. Means we write a program into a high level language, just like that C, C++, Java or Python, and finally language processor convert this code, which is human understandable form, into machine code, means 0 1, means binary form. So language processor is a special type of system software that has the capability to translate the source code or program into machine code, and there are 3 different types of language processor. These are compiler, assembler, and interpreter. First of all, let us talk about assembler. So as you know that in assembly language, program are written in the forms of symbols. So these symbols then converted into 0 1 by a language processor known as assembler. When we talk about high level language, always remember in mind that assembler is assembler used to convert the source code of assembly language into binary form, and assembly language is a low level language. When we talk about high level language, then high level language source code again can be converted into low level language by compiler or interpreter. So there is a difference between compiler and interpreter. In compiler, basically source code can be converted into a single time or single go. That means the whole source code can be converted, maybe then it means that whole source code is converted into low level language in one time or a single go via compiler, but when we convert it into line by line, then it is called the interpreter. So interpreter convert the source code line by line into machine code, and compiler convert the whole source code into a single time. So that is the difference between a compiler and the interpreter. And as far as assembler is concerned, so assembler related to assembly language, and assembler convert the assembly language code, which is basically code written in the forms of different symbols, into binary form. So that is the definition of language processor. So in simple word, we can say that simply say that language processor converts source code into source code or translate the source code into machine code, means 0 1s, and 3 different types of language processors are there. Assembler, which converts assembly language code into binary form. Compiler interpreter converts high level language code into binary form, but compiler convert into a single time, and interpreter convert it line by line. So these are the different types of language processor. Next, now compiler. So there is a detailed description of the compiler. First of all, compiler is a system software that translates source code into object code as a whole, one at a time. Second point is it is faster than interpreter. it belongs to the high level language, third point, as I told you earlier. And the compiler detects syntax error at the time of the compilation. Here syntax error means a grammatical error related to a program. And it also helps the user program to locate the line containing error, and it is difficult to the compiler to detect error. It is difficult for the compiler for detect error, and when an error occurs in the program, it stops its translation, and after removing error, whole program is translated again, and it produced object code. So three main points are there out of these points. First of all, is compiler is a system software that convert the source code into object code, and as a whole one at a time, as I told you earlier, that as a whole one at a time. If any error is there, then first of all we have to remove that error, and that is called the debug or debugging of an error. And after that we can again execute that program, and if there is no error at all, then program is translated again, or program will be successfully executed. So using compiler, first of all, convert the source code, compiler convert the source code into object code, and if there is error, then we have to remove this error, otherwise program will not be executed at all. And second time when the error will be removed, then only we can able to execute that program, and when we try to run that program, then program is translated again. So that is the concept of the compiler. Second, it belongs to the high level language, means uh, C, C++, these are all are the types of the high level language. So these are the high level languages. Always know that assembler belongs to the low level language. Third point is that compiler detects a syntax error at the time of the compilation, and if there is any type of syntax error, means the grammatical error related to a program, then it stop the execution of the program. And first of all we have to remove that error, only after that we are able to run that program. So these are the three important points related to a compiler. Always remember in mind that source code, that compiler is a system software that translates the source code into object code. Next is interpreter. So this language processor convert a high level program into machine language by converting and executing line by line. That is the main point. It also convert a high level language code into low level language code, means machine level language code, but only but converting and executing line by line only. And if there is any error in any line, it reports it at the same time, and program execution cannot be resumed until the error is rectified. So that is the basic difference between the compiler and the interpreter. And when we talk about the assembler is totally different as compared to compiler and interpreter. Assembler basically relate to assembly language, which is a low level language in which the program is written in the forms of symbols. So this language processor converts the program written in assembly language into machine language. Now that is the difference between the interpreter and the compiler, and this question is asked so many number of times, that what is the difference between the interpreter and the compiler. So first of all, interpreter translates the program one statement at a time. Second, compiler scan the entire program and translate it as a whole into a machine code. Second point, it takes less amount of time to analyze the source code. Interpreter takes less amount of time to analyze the source code, but the overall execution time is slower. And compiler takes the large amount of time to analyze the source code, but the overall execution time is comparatively faster when we compare it with the interpreter. And interpreter, no intermediate objects code is generated, hence are memory efficient. Generally intermediate objects code which further required linking and hence required more memory. So these are the different points, three important points regarding to interpreter and compiler. Always, and there is a very important point, last point, that is point number 3. Compiler converts source code, or first of all source code, into a intermediate code known as the object code, while interpreter directly convert the source code into machine code. In compiler, that object code further can be converted into a machine code. So that is the basic difference between the interpreter and compiler. First of all, related to the first point related to the definition of the compiler. Second point related to the time taken by the interpreter and compiler, and third point related to the execution of the source code. So interpreter converts the no intermediate object code is there in interpreter, but in compiler there is an intermediate code that is also known as object code, which is generated when we try to compile a program into machine level language code. So these are the three different points regarding to interpreter and compiler. Next, our system software is utility software. As the name suggests, utility software, or simply they are called as utility. It is a type of system software that allows a user to perform maintenance type tasks, and they are sometimes called as housekeeping software, and usually related to managing a computer, its device, or a program. That's why they are called the housekeeping softwares. So utility program are built into main operating system or can be purchased separately. So they are the part of the computer system and they can also be purchased separately. So utility software, as the name suggests, they are the housekeeping softwares, or they allows a user to perform maintenance type tasks. So we can say that antivirus is a type of utility software or a program. So maintenance types tasks are done by utility programs, and they can be purchased separately, or sometimes they are the part of the computer systems. Now these are the different types of utility software. First one is file compression tool. So file compression tools or software reduce the size of the files. A compressed file takes up the less storage than the original file. So if we want to compress a file, then we use a file compression tool. So that is a type of a system software, and it falls in the category of utility software. Second is most common example, which I told earlier, antivirus program. So each and every antivirus programs falls in the category of utility software. So antivirus program basically protect a computer against viruses by identifying and removing any computer viruses found in memory, storage media, or incoming files. Third is spyware remover. These program detects spyware and other similar programs. Next is disk defragmenter. So these are the program that recognizes the files and unused spaces on a computer hard disk, so that the operating system accesses data more quickly and programs run faster. Next is backup and restore utility. So backup utility allows user to copy selected files to another storage medium, and restore utility reverses the backup process and returns backed up files to their original form. So these are the different types of utility software. File, in short, we can say that file compression tool basically used to compress a particular file. Antivirus program removes the virus in our computer system. Spyware remover removes the spyware in our computer system. Disk defragmenter basically recognize the file and unused space on a computer hard disk, and using this disk defragmenter, we are able to access data more quickly. Next is backup and restore utility. So backup and restore utility basically use to backup our data in a computer system, and restore utility reserves the backup process and returns backed up files to the original form. So these are the different types of utility programs. Next our topic is device driver. there is another important type of system software, device driver. So, this type of software controls particular hardware which is essential attached to the system, and some few examples are there: printer drivers, sound card driver, VJ card drivers. So, basically device driver are the software which are related to a particular hardware system, and without this device driver we are not able to run, or we are not able to work on that hardware parts. First of all, we have to execute this device driver into our computer system. Only after then we are capable to run particular hardware part. For example, if you want to work on the particular printer, so first of all you must install the device driver of that printer into your computer system. Only after then you are capable to give command through your system to a printer. So, without this you are not able to take a printout from your printer. So, it is not just like that you directly connect your printer to a computer system and now you are able to give command to a printer. First of all, device driver of the printer should be installed into your computer system. Then only after that you are capable to take a printout from printer by connecting to your computer systems. So, connection of the hardware is not sufficient to work, but it is also important that first of all you should install the device driver related to that hardware. Only after that you are capable to work on that particular hardware. Another type of and some other example of device driver are related to sound card driver and VGA drivers. So, these are the definitions of device drivers. Next is firmware. So, these are the different types of system softwares. Now, I think you are capable to understand all of these terms, system softwares. Next, there is a very important term known as firmware. Firmware is basically nothing but only the permanent software programmed into read only memory. So, these are the programs basically resides in read only memory, that is called the firmware. And there is another important term that is called the BIOS. BIOS is a set of program or set of computer instructions in a firmware which controls input and output operations. So, the full form of BIOS is basic input output systems. So, BIOS is a set of computer instruction in a firmware which controls input and output operations, and BIOS is a program a personal computer microprocessor users to get the computer system started after you turn it on. So, when we just turn it on our computer system, first instruction that are executed in our computer system, that is called the basic input output system. So, these are the instructions, first of all they are executed in our computer system. Only after that when we when we only just give the power supply to our computer system. So, first of all these type of instruction are executed into our computer system, and also they manage the data flow between the computer operating system and attached devices such as the hard disk, video adapter, keyboard, mouse and the printer. And BIOS is an integral part of your computer system and comes with when you bring it at home. So, it is an integral part. So, when you just purchase the computer system, they are the part of your computer system. So, these are the instructions basically and executed only just after that when you give the power supply to your computer system. Next is booting. So, when we start our computer system, then there is the operation which is performed automatically by the computer system, which is also called as a booting. So, booting is a basically a process, and it basically performed. It start and booting is a process which start our computer system. In short, we can say that booting is a process which start our computer system, and in the booting system will check all the hardware and the software those are installed and attached with the system, and this will also load all the files those are needed for running a system. And in the booting process, all the files those are stored into the ROM chip will also be loaded for running the system, and the instruction those are necessary to start the system will read it at the time of booting. So, booting is the process to start or restart of a computer system. There are two types of bootings, warm booting and cold booting. Cold boot means starting computer that is already off, and warm booting means restarting computer that is already on. So cold booting happens when we turn on a computer system that has been completely power off, and warm booting normally happens after installing a new software or hardware, or after an application crashes or stop working. So that is the difference between cold booting and warm booting. In short, we can say that booting is a process to start or restart our computer system. So there are two types of booting. First one is cold boot and second is warm boot. Cold boot means start a computer system, and warm boot when we just install a application software or we want to restart our computer system, then the process is called a warm boot or warm booting. So these are the topics related to our related to this video. So now I hope you are able to understand the concept of system software and the firmware, BIOS and booting. Thanks for watching this video.